Welcome to the NPC Energy Podcast. Today, you and I are embarking on a simulated journey into a really kind of mind-bending idea. How to manifest like a final boss, hacking the matrix with just your mind.
Right.
The anonymous sources we're exploring for this session, they really dive deep into this concept of like treating reality as a simulation.
Yeah, suggesting your mindset might actually, influence the outcomes you experience. It's fascinating stuff.
It really is.
And what's interesting here, thinking about your interest in this, is that central question the sources pose: could your internal world, your thoughts, your beliefs actually have a tangible effect on, well, external reality?
That's the big one.
So our mission on this simulated journey is really to pull out the core concepts about manifestation from these sources, the stuff that might resonate most with you.
Okay.
And we'll look at some of the techniques they propose too, but, keeping a perspective that's both engaged and, well, grounded.
Okay, yeah. Let's unpack this final boss idea together then.
Mm-hmm.
When our anonymous sources use that term, what picture should be forming in your mind? They talk about these figures who seem to just command attention, almost like the rules kind of bend for them.
Exactly. The way these sources frame it for you is someone who actively owns their narrative.
Owns their narrative. Okay.
Think about a character in a game you play. They're not just reacting, right? They're influencing things.
Right. They're the protagonists.
Precisely. And the sources suggest this isn't just fiction. If you maybe entertain the idea that reality operates in ways we don't fully get, maybe like a simulation, maybe something quantum, then your own consciousness, your inner self, could actually be a more powerful control mechanism than you maybe currently believe.
So, okay, if we take that leap with these sources, then thoughts become almost like cheat codes within this simulation.
Yeah, they make that comparison pretty directly, like cheat codes.
But how does this move from just being, an interesting thought experiment to something you can actually use?
Well, this is where manifestation comes in for you. And the sources point out, hey, this isn't exactly brand new.
Right, like prayer or...
Historically, yeah, prayer. Or more recently, you hear about the law of attraction all the time.
Sure.
But the angle in these sources we're looking at today, it reframes it in this really unique way, almost like you're modding the game files.
Modding the game files. I like it. It feels more active, doesn't it?
It does.
Less like just wishing, more like intentionally making changes. So, okay, these sources suggest maybe you're like a developer who's forgotten the admin password to their own reality.
Sort of, yeah.
What do they propose that password might be for you?
Well, according to these sources, the key for you is really in your belief system.
Your beliefs.
Yeah. If you fundamentally believe you're just like a non-player character in NTC, then your actions, the possibilities you even see, they'll probably feel limited within this game.
Makes sense.
But if you consciously work to shift that belief and start seeing yourself as the final boss of your own story, well, the sources suggest the very framework of your reality can start responding.
Responding to that belief.
Exactly. Responding in ways that support that new belief. That shift in how you see yourself becomes like the crucial element.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for you. Our anonymous sources even touch on some scientific concepts, right? Like the observer effect.
Yeah, they bring that up.
To maybe offer a different lens. Could you elaborate on what that might suggest to you?
Certainly. So the observer effect, just simplifying it for your thinking here, suggests that the act of observing a quantum system can actually change its state.
Oh.
The sources draw a parallel for you, basically proposing that your focused attention on a specific outcome might, maybe in a similar way, influence its manifestation.
So just focusing on it could change things.
It's about consciously directing your awareness toward what you want to experience. Now, obviously, applying quantum physics to daily life is, well, it's debated.
Right, very debated.
Yeah, but the metaphorical value the sources find here, that your observation influences reality, that's quite compelling to consider, isn't it?
It is. And then there's neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
Your brain's ability to rewire itself. How do the sources connect that to you manifesting like a final boss?
Well, they highlight for you that your thoughts, your repeated patterns of thinking, they literally create and strengthen neural pathways.
Right, the physical connections in the brain.
Exactly. So if you consistently think and behave like someone in control, someone expecting positive outcomes like a final boss you are, essentially rewiring your brain to support that. The game, as they call it, sort of responds to these neural firmware updates by making those actions and outcomes more likely for you.
So the techniques they suggest are ways to kind of push that rewiring.
In essence, yeah. ways to intentionally drive that process.
Okay, so you've got the mindset shift as the foundation. Now, what about these glitchy power moves? The actual techniques the sources suggest you can start experimenting with.
Right, the techniques. The sources give a few fascinating ones for you, all framed in this final boss simulation context.
Okay.
First is the Reality Distortion Field.
Sounds intense.
It does. For you, this is about consciously cultivating a sense of being the central point of influence in whatever situation you're in.
So, walking into a room.
Yeah, or approaching a challenge with this underlying belief that you have the power to shape things around you.
Almost like projecting an aura of control. Or like inevitability.
Precisely. The sources even mention, figures who seem to have this knack for bending reality just through sheer conviction as examples for you to think about.
Interesting. Okay, what's the next glitchy power move for you from these sources?
Next up for you is Loot Table Calibration.
Loot Table Calibration. Okay, game terminology again.
Definitely. This involves making a list of your desires, but with a specific twist. A potentially powerful one.
Which is?
You write them down as if you already possess them, phrasing them as current reality.
Oh, right, like the example they gave.
Yeah, I am holding the legendary sword of passive income +5.
Right, so for you, it might be reframing wanting a new job as like, I am thriving in my awesome new role, something like that.
Exactly that. It's about you embodying the feeling of already having it. Almost tricking your brain, maybe, into acting from fulfillment, not lack.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Then we have Glitch Affirmations for you.
Glitch Affirmations.
Yeah. The sources suggest going beyond typical affirmations, using statements that sound almost like code or debug logs.
Like the example.
Like, user, your name has activated abundance protocol, income stream multiplier dot by 2, or something you adapt for yourself.
Huh.
The idea is to use language that feels kind of unusual, potent for you, breaking away from normal thought patterns and engaging your subconscious differently.
That's definitely a more attention-grabbing way for you to affirm something. Any other techniques you might find helpful?
The next one for you is the NPC Detox.
Okay, sounds pretty direct.
It is quite straightforward. Consciously limiting your interactions with people who, tend to drain your energy or hold you back.
Cutting out the static.
Exactly. The analogy is like cutting out corrupted files, messing up your game. The sources suggest for you to focus on nurturing relationships with supportive co-op partners.
Or engaging in respectful side quests.
Right. Interactions that add positively to your overall story arc.
That makes a ton of sense for you, really. Whether you buy the whole manifestation thing or not, surround yourself with good energy is just smart.
Totally agree. Crucial.
And the last technique they mentioned that you might find interesting.
That would be spawn point rituals for you.
Spawn point rituals. Love it.
It's about starting your day with intention, consciously setting the tone for what you want to experience.
How so?
The sources suggest experimenting. Maybe specific music that pumps you up, choosing an outfit that feels like armor with a mental bonus.
Like putting on your power suit.
Yeah. Or even just taking a few moments for a mental mission briefing for the day. Basically, consciously loading into your day, not just drifting in on autopilot.
These all sound like really interesting, active ways for you to engage with this whole idea. Now, the anonymous sources also shared some real-world glitch testimonies, right?
They did.
What kind of stories did they include that might spark your curiosity?
These were personal accounts, anecdotes from people who felt they'd really experienced these kinds of glitchy manifestations.
Good.
One listener apparently focused really hard on getting a free apartment upgrade and then unexpectedly got offered a penthouse.
Wow.
Another noticed like a consistent pattern of hitting green lights on their commute after intentionally focusing on seeing green lights. Just that specific detail.
Huh. That's specific.
Yeah. For you, these stories are presented as examples, potential examples of what some believe is possible with focused intention.
Those are definitely intriguing for you to consider. And there was one about money, right, that stood out.
Yes, exactly. One person reportedly kept affirming, I will be paid to do what I love. Just repeating that.
Do that, man.
And then, subsequently, received a severance package from their job, which gave them the financial cushion to actually start their own business doing what they loved.
Interesting timing.
Very. Again, these are anecdotal, right? But the sources share them as potential examples for you of how aligning thoughts and intentions might lead to surprising outcomes.
Yeah, it's easy to get swept up in those stories. But our anonymous sources also included some really important caveats for you, didn't they?
Absolutely crucial caveats.
They weren't saying you can just kick back and wait for stuff to magically appear. no effort involved.
Not at all. They really emphasize for you that achieving this boss-level manifestation still requires effort, what they playfully call grinding.
Like in Skyrim, yeah.
Exactly. Like in a game, it's not about passive waiting. It's about aligning your mindset and then taking inspired action in the real physical world.
And they specifically warned against trying to, like, defy physics just with your thoughts, right? And no trying to fly off the roof.
That's right. The sources specifically advise you against ignoring physical reality's constraints. They use that funny example of not trying to levitate off your roof like Neo.
Good advice.
Definitely. The key takeaway for you is that manifestation, as presented here, works with the natural world and the need for practical effort, not instead of it.
Okay. So to kind of bring this all together for you, what's the central message from this simulated journey into manifesting like a final boss, according to these anonymous sources?
Well, the core idea presented for your consideration is really about you taking a more empowered stance in life.
Okay.
Believing you have maybe a greater capacity to influence your reality through mindset and focused intention than you currently realize.
Reframing things like prayer or law of attraction.
Yeah, reframing them as you actively modding the game files of your own existence.
And the key for you to unlock this potential admin access, as they put it.
It comes back to your belief system. If you cultivate that deep belief in your ability to shape things, that belief itself acts as a powerful catalyst. It's the password.
Right, the password.
Exactly. And while the links to the observer effect and neuroplasticity aren't like definitive proof for you,
No, definitely not proof.
they do offer these intriguing parallels. They suggest your focused attention, your consistent thoughts can lead to real changes, quantum, neurological, potentially influencing your outcomes.
And we've explored those final boss manifestation techniques. You can try Reality Distortion Field, Loot Table Calibration, Glitch Affirmations, NPC Detox, Spawn Point Rituals, tangible ways for you to engage.
And the real-world glitch testimonies, while anecdotal, they give you a glimpse into what some people attribute to this way of thinking.
But it's so important for you to remember the caveats manifestation isn't a substitute for hard work.
Absolutely. Requires the grinding.
And you still need to operate within physical reality. No trying to walk through walls.
Please don't. This raises a really significant question for you to ponder, though.
Okay, consider this. What if you just started acting, day to day, as if the universe truly was conspiring in your favor?
Even with skepticism.
Yeah, even if you approach it with healthy skepticism, how might that subtle shift in belief and expectation influence the actions you take, the opportunities you notice?
Interesting.
What specific cheat codes from these sources might you find intriguing enough to maybe experiment with in your own life? Even just as a thought experiment to start. It's definitely a perspective worth considering as you navigate your own unique simulation.